Drop and Give Me 20 is brought to you by Germono Advertising Company. Drop and Give Me 20 is the podcast for military entrepreneurs. Each episode is around 20 minutes long, giving entrepreneurs a glimpse into the life of other successful military entrepreneurs, learning from their obstacles and gaining insight and inspiration. Podcast episodes focus on the stories, challenges, and wins military entrepreneurs have faced in their businesses. I am your host, Lindsay Germono, and thank you for tuning in. We are well into 2022 with this podcast, but we're recording it in 2021. And my guest and I are very similar. We just kind of got on a roll. I'm so excited to have her on today. We were talking about conferences and the energy and battery levels and how we just tend to need to decompress. So I'm glad I have someone who is of this kind of the same cloth as I am on the podcast for today. She is no rookie to being on air. She has her network and her abilities is far surpasses anything that this podcast could even light a candle to. My guest today is Tiffany Haywood. Good morning, wherever you are. Tiffany, how are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well here in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask if you were still in Fayetteville.
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Awesome. So we have about 20 minutes, and our guests, our listeners know that we get right into it. I want all of our podcast listeners to hear all the things that you do. I tried to recap and summarize that myself before we got on the phone. I'm just going to let her do it. So tell the listeners about yourself and what you're up to these days.
Okay, you're going to leave the heavy task to me.
Yeah, I'm just throwing it to you.
So I am a lifestyle blogger at themrst.com. I've been doing that for, oh my gosh, it's almost 8.5 years at this point. I started that as an outlet. I had 3 kids under 3 at home, and I just wanted to talk to an adult person. And so it became like an online journal. And from there, I realized that it could also become a business. So I turned it into an LLC. So it's now a lifestyle blog. I do event coverage, media coverage, social media management, all that great stuff. And then I also have another business called tiffanyhaywood.com, where I am a brand consultant. I help people build their brands, build their business by building their brands. And it goes far beyond color schemes and fonts. I want to dig in and see who the owner is and make sure that's present on their social media, and it helps in their growth. And I've been doing that since 2017. So I really love all of what I do. I love seeing that aha moment when an owner is like, okay, this doesn't have to be as hard as I thought it was. And so that's what I'm all about, is giving them the tools and the resources they need to make their businesses grow and be the best they can be.
So how does that work for you? If you have somebody who's coming to you and they're like, yeah, I'm thinking about, I need some help with their branding. What's your process?
So I always do a little mini consult to get to know them, because believe it or not, business owners, there are some clients that aren't always for you. So I always have that moment where it's almost let's just chat and see how we flow with each other. Because when you're helping somebody build something like a brand, you really do have to have some kind of ebb and flow, some kind of communication that gets along well. Right. And so we sit down, we talk. I normally don't start with okay, what are your numbers? How many people do you have on Facebook? Da, da, da. I start more with why did you start your business? What is it you want? What made you want to do this? I want to know your story, and I want to hear your personality. And then from there, I always go into pretty much a first impressions critique of their presence. I deep dive into all their social media presence, and I say, okay, so here are some things that I just have questions about, or here is, why did you choose to go this way with that? And then we kind of have that conversation flowing, and then we go from there and decide, okay, where can I help you? Where do you want help? And if they are that person who says, listen, I just want to give you everything, I don't want to do it, we can have that as an option as well.
I love that. Same. So the ditto to all of that. I think that's very important. Yeah. Mic drop on that. I think it's really important too for our listeners to understand, initially when you start your business, you might not have that luxury, right? You're hungry, you need to, there's operating costs that you need to meet. So
Mhm.
for me, when I first started, I was like, oh, I'm going to do anything and everything marketing and advertising related. And then, and then you kind of figure out along the way, like, okay, here's what we're really good at, and here's what, we're not. And I think another part of that is, and this is like the most exciting part, is being able to pick the individuals that you want to build that relationship with. Cause I feel the same way. I think, you know, everybody needs help in their business. It's finding the right person in that relationship to help with. Because I mean, sometimes you're talking, and I don't want to call their baby ugly, but like that social media post didn't really do, So I
Yeah.
love that,
There's a exactly. Like there's a reason why this is not working for you. And that's what that initial thing is for me to kind of get a feel of, okay, how open are you to constructive criticism? Because I do emphasize the constructive part. Yes, I'm going to be blatantly honest with you. Okay, why did you put that blurry picture of that plate up on Instagram and then wonder why nobody liked it? It looks disgusting. Like I will tell you, but then at the same time, I'm not just going to leave you there. I'm going to tell you how to make it better. Okay, so next time, if you're using your phone, tap to focus, make sure you get good lighting. You know what I'm saying? So it's always a balance of the critique with the constructive part. And sometimes you have to see if a client is willing to hear that because everybody is not, unfortunately. Some of them are just like, no, I'm doing it completely perfect and you just need to make it better. And it's like, actually, no, you're not.
yeah, yeah, yeah. What kind of clients do you like to work with?
I I love female entrepreneurs. They just like, of course, have my heart. Because I was one and I remember the struggle and I remember how unfortunately when I started, even as a blogger, it seemed like everybody had that don't look at my test paper mentality. Like nobody wanted to share their
Yeah.
tips, share how they got somewhere. So for me, being able to give that in an open session, just like, hey, here's how you can do it. I love to do that. So female entrepreneurs, male spouses, again, you relate to who you are the most. So those are the people that I really gravitate towards because I love, like I said, to see them realize I can actually do this.
Yeah.
But basically, any small business owner, like I'm that person who will see. I always say, I know you didn't ask me this, but because like
Yeah.
I'll see something on your social media. And if I like you as a small business owner, I'll just be like, just a quick tip, like, And
Yeah.
so a lot of my clients come like that because it's just me, like I know them already, or we're chatting, or I just see something. I have a client now, he says like my clients always say like once a Mrs. T client, you're forever a Mrs. T client. But when we close out like our whatever project we do, I'm still always looking. And so he always says like he's like every time you'll go, hey, quick thought. He's like, I'm always like, oh God, what did I do? Because I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
he's like, it's like a the Mrs. T oopsie. Like I'll always go, so I saw that post you did the other day. Remember what we talked about?
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the type of clients I lean towards. The small business owners, the ones who are maybe trying to do everything themselves because, like you said, they don't have that resource to
Mhm.
hire everybody for everything. I give you the tools that you can actually step out and do it on your own.
I love that. And you're empowering them and educating them along the way too, so that they are learning along the way. I think that I always hesitate when I see social media managers or marketers that do things for the client, but then the client's not understanding like why they did it or why this worked or, why they're recommending that. And so I think that and plus I think that if you can educate a business owner on the social media platforms and the different functions and features, then they get that buy-in and they get excited about, oh, let's do a reel or whatever, that they kind of gravitate to. We It sucks only having 20 minutes because I always want to ask so many things, but I want to get to that area that for our listeners, if you could shed some light on things that maybe didn't work for you or lessons learned that you can impart on, those that are listening as you started growing that lifestyle brand and that business for yourself.
Sure, no problem. So, being a lifestyle blogger, you always have, or me personally, I don't want to speak for the masses. I always had that slight imposter syndrome where I was like, okay, am I really supposed to be here? And then that always led me into that trying to do everything everyone else was doing, mistake. And I had to come to a point where I realized everything is not for me.
Yeah.
So simply because a new platform pops up does not mean that new platform fits my brand, my purpose, or my vision. Now, I am, like I said, a brand like fanatic. I believe in having your brand present and having consistency. So yes, most times if a new platform pops up, I grab my handle like first thing just to make sure it's secure. But then at the same time, I do my research and find out, okay, am I a TikTok kind of girl? Maybe not so much,
Yeah. Yeah.
Am I more of a real person? Yeah, I can handle that. Do I thrive on YouTube? Yes. And then I also do that follow-up research to find out, okay, but where is my audience liking me the most? Because simply because I love TikTok, I've seen a lot of people who are going TikTok crazy, and it's not necessarily their audience that's watching. So where are your benefits in that? And like, so you're spending time planning, prepping, recording, editing, but is your audience actually watching, or are you catching a bunch of randoms? So you want to make sure you're hitting your actual demographic mark when you do things. So that's the mistake I had to learn from, not to try to spread myself so thin that I was I always say, of course, now it slips my mind the full saying, but like I wasn't mastering anything. I was doing everything and not mastering anything in particular.
What do they
So I
say?
rather,
Something but expert, master of everything, expert of none, or I know
yeah,
that
something
saying.
like that. You see where I'm going
Yeah.
though. Like
Yeah.
you do so much, but none of it is at 100%. So instead of doing that, I rather find the things that I really excel at, I enjoy doing, because believe it or not, your audience can tell if you actually want to be there. Like if I'm on a TikTok and I don't really like TikTok, you can tell. So I pick the stuff I have a passion about, and then I pick the stuff that my audience actually needs and wants to see me do. And then I stay in my lane. Like this is where I thrive. This is what's working. This is where I see my engagement, or this is where I see feedback. So that's what I'm going to do.
In working in the industry that we're in, do you find it hard to stay in your lane?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, because you try to be where everyone else is, but
Mhm.
sometimes there's a reason why they're there, and there's a reason why you shouldn't be. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah, totally.
stay truly authentic to who you are. And I tell my clients, and one of my taglines is, find what makes you unique and make that work for you. So the things that make you stand out will probably benefit you more than the things that make you look like everybody else.
I feel like we should just have these conversations for hours. Because like so many people, our clients will, they're on Instagram, Facebook, and then things like TikTok and Clubhouse and these secondary, social media platforms come out, and they want, and I'm excited because they're wanting to try stuff, but I almost am like, let's see how it shakes out first, because like not everything, we don't have to jump to everything new. And I also think like you still have to have a strategy. You can just like go in, but I love the tip that you we're talking about, would go in and grab that handle or your like username, and so that way another business doesn't grab it, and then you decide to get on it, and now that's not available. Now you have 14 different handles that are all wonky.
Exactly. Or
and
you're
and it,
doing the no of trying to add dashes and hyphens and numbers.
oh
So when
yeah,
Clubhouse came out, TikTok, like I am at the Mrs. T everywhere, and I
yeah,
have the handle secured everywhere, but you don't necessarily see me everywhere.
right. So it's Twitter is that way for us, but then you've had like when Facebook and Instagram go down, I'm very glad that we have Twitter, because everybody goes over there and it's like
Yep.
talking about what's happening, and so the other thing that I think that, it is a joy to talk to folks that are in our industry is talking about like what is it that you own. So like if you're listening to this and you're either getting ready to start a business or you're starting a business, and the marketing and advertising aspect is not you know firmed up for you, which I don't think it is for anybody ever, because it's always so fluid, is, it absolutely matters to have that plan,
Yeah.
right? So like it absolutely matters that even if we're going to try Clubhouse or TikTok, like you still have to have a plan, and that takes time. You just
Yeah.
like go in and,
Exactly.
figure it out.
The other thing, part about that is having that plan and having that strategy set up before you show up is
Mhm.
you don't risk the chance of losing that first impression because you
That's
only
right.
get one shot at that. So if I grab my little TikTok handle and then I just show up there and I'm like, hey, like I just missed that whole opportunity to have a great first impression on that platform. And the other part about that strategy part is the planning of it allows you to make sure that your presence across your platforms is actually consistent. I always tell my clients, okay, if you're on Instagram and then you're on Facebook and then you're here, there should be some strain that connects those stories together. Like even if if I'm a blogger and I'm posting about a product, of course, I don't want to post the exact same content across the board because it doesn't work the same everywhere. But there should be something in there that makes them link together. And so when you plan and strategize out where you're going to be and why you're actually there, you have that ability to make sure, okay, so here's what I did on Facebook. Here's what I'm going to do on TikTok, but here's the link between the two. Because
Love
you
it.
always want your different social media platforms to lead people back to where you are the most or to lead people back to your website. And I always say, I think I wrote a post about you don't want to have that identity crisis in your branding where people see you here, they see you here, and they're like, wait, is this the same person?
Yeah.
Or like, are
Yep.
you presenting the same thing? So you want to make sure you have that link of consistency and that story that goes across everywhere.
I love that. And I could not agree more. And some folks will ask, well, how do you do that? And so one of the very easy ways to do that is create cover images on those platforms that are visually aesthetic and they're consistent between all of the other ones. And
Exactly.
when we do our audit too, we'll look at like what's the phone number, what's the email address associated and forward facing on those, and are they, is this one Sam at XYZ company, and then this one is info at, and I'm like, just can't, for initially, unless you're doing like tracking purposes, making them all consistent so that someone's not like, is this the right account I'm trying to reach,
Exactly.
and that visual it's so important too because you only have a couple seconds of someone's attention now, and that's what makes it very difficult to be a marketer. I think you would agree on that, is because we know if that individual is not seeing or there's a question, then they're going to jump off and go to essentially someone's competitor or et cetera.
Yep.
I need to come down to Fayetteville and we need to rap for like a whole day. I just love
Hey,
this.
I'm totally in for it.
Yes. So I'm going to switch to the fun part of, well, this is all fun for me, but I love doing this. I just started doing this in this season. These are just totally random questions I'm going to fire at you.
Oh, I love those.
Yes.
I
Yes.
love those.
Okay. I need to know who your favorite villain is, like comic book or movie villain.
Oh my gosh. And I'm such a comic head and movie head. So this is going to be a tough one because I have to like narrow it down. Okay. I'm going to go Disney. And I want to say my favorite villain, and I'm putting air quotes in that one, is Maleficent because she had many reasons to be a villain, but she wasn't completely a villain. So yeah, I would say Maleficent for sure.
She was definitely misunderstood.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next thing is, do you collect anything?
Besides all things pink, let me think.
Yeah.
I am a serious pen person. Like I will track you down for my pen. Well, honestly, I won't even give you a pen I actually like. Like if someone asks me for a pen, they get the random one that I got from somebody else. Like I keep my pens to myself. I have pencil cases in my purses. So yeah, I'm a very big pen one. My current favorite is the Sharpie gel pen, the 1.0 point. It is perfect. If you have not tried it, please go get you one. It is awesome.
So I'm really into these erasable pen ink colors, and I have one right here. It's by Frixion or Pilot Frixion,
What?
and you can. Okay, so like for those that are listening, you need to go over to YouTube and watch this because I'm going to do I'm going to do a demo. Okay, so you can write. So I'm going to see if I can do this. All right. Oh, and this quote on my planner is, very little is needed to make a happy life. So boom. Okay. So like you can write in the pen ink.
Cool. I see.
Okay. And then you can erase it.
Love. I have not had an erasable pen since like elementary. So that's on my list to go find. 'Cause
Okay.
those are
So
awesome.
But wait, there's more, because not only do they come.
Total infomercial.
This brought to you by Pilot. If you could just go ahead and send that check to Germano Advertising Company.
Yeah.
So the other thing is they come in markers, and so you can. So I'm super into like color coding my planner, and like these are also erasable. They have the little like tips.
Okay, so I'm gonna need you to just drop that in the chat box so I can go get it. Because if I could turn my whole monitor, my calendar is color coded by like, so hot pink is like an event I have to show up at. Black is stuff like I could do in home. Like I have the color coding system thing too, but I cannot stand whiteout, and I hate.
Why is it so chunky?
Yes, and I hate and the ink doesn't look the same when you write back on top of it, so it like irks me. And then I also hate like crossing out. So if I do my calendar, I've already done like a penciled version to make sure like once you get ink, like don't cancel on me, because that's just like it has to happen at that point.
So I'm an orange when I'm doing gym, workout, fitness stuff. Green is our weekly agency staff meetings, and then blue are appointments. And then I also have little like planner stickers that I put on my planner for like, podcast days and stuff. So Tiffany, you're my spirit sister.
I feel like we have a twinsies moment happening right now.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I need all the color code. I need to be able to look at something at one glance and know exactly like, okay, this is what's happening today. And that goes for like my Outlook calendar, all of it. It's all color coded. Different things have different, I see you.
All right. And so my last question for you for today is, who is the person that knows the most dirt about you?
Oh my gosh.
Who's your legacy contact on Facebook? So
Now, see, the weird part is he's not on Facebook, and it's probably going to sound super cliche because it's my husband. Like,
no!
I know, but I tell him everything, and probably stuff I probably shouldn't. But like, because we started out as friends first,
I love that.
It's super easy. You know what I mean? So like the most random girl, chick focused stuff can happen, and I'll still text him, and he'll be like, okay, what am I doing with this info? Because he's like, I don't know why you're telling me, but cool beans, like, So yeah, I tell him all things, even the stuff he probably is just like, I'll just store this over here because she might ask me about it later. But yeah, I tell him everything.
I love that. Mine is Jennifer Karp, and she knows why. She's been my best friend since high school. We were each other's like first roommates, and we moved out of each other's houses, and she just has so much dirt on me that if anybody if anybody ever needed to know anything, they just got to put a little pressure on her and she would spill the beans to them. But I just love asking those kind of fun questions. Tiffany, it has been an absolute pleasure, a very long overdue Drop and Give Me 20 session with you. I love everything that you're doing and your marketing and advertising, all of the kind of the focuses in your faiths and values and ethics. I am 100% there and right beside you on. So thank you for all that you do for our community, our clients, and just keeping everything kind of in motion and just being you. For those that are listening, where can they, if they want to connect with you, follow along? I know you said you're the Mrs. T on everything, but like, what's your preferred platform?
So at the Mrs. T, that's THEMRSTEE. I love being able to say you can find me that on everywhere. It took me like 4 years to secure that everywhere. But that is my lifestyle blog. It is, I guess, my most active platform. But then if you wanted to find me as a consultant or if you needed any brand advice, it's just Haywood. .com. So thaywood.com everywhere again. So like I secured it in all places. So either one of those would work. And if you wanted to email me, it's Mrs. T at themrst.com or Tiffany at tiffanyhaywood.com.
I cannot thank you enough for coming on. This was so fun, and I'm gonna have to do a part 2 of this.
For sure.
An episode 2, because I just felt like it was happening. Tiffany is a huge mover and shaker in our community. She does so much both locally in Fayetteville and digitally. And I say that with as a marketer, we see each other, and I absolutely love everything she's doing. So you guys definitely reach out to her if you have any questions about branding, that process, or even just need somebody to kind of take a look at what you're doing, get you on track. She will hook you up. Tiffany, it has been an honor and a pleasure. I cannot wait to have just a part 2 of this conversation with you. And we got to go charge our batteries now, but thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Drop and Give Me 20. Drop and Give Me 20 is brought to you by Germono Advertising Company, and we would love to invite you into our network of military entrepreneurs on Facebook. Just search for Drop and Give Me 20 and join the Facebook group.